Well, hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. I'm super excited because I have a fun guest with me today. So today I'm talking to a woman named Susie Moore, and I am meeting Susie for the first time, just like you, but we have a mutual friend in Amy Lacey, who is the founder of Cauliflower Foods, and anybody that's a friend of Amy's is definitely a friend of mine. So Susie, welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm delighted to be with you.
Well, I got to tell you, I didn't know you were going to have an accent, which is so marvelous. And so as soon as you started talking, I'm like, oh, I love her already. So I don't know if you've ever heard this, but I have a theory that women who have accents make more money than women who don't.
Oh, I've heard that people who are taller make more money, which doesn't work in
Okay,
my
this
favor.
does not bode well for me at 5'2" and no accent.
I'm exactly 5'2" as well. I always say 5'5", though. I like to round it up.
Well, I say 5'3" with the hair, which is kind of sort of accurate as long as I don't like smush it down on top. But all right, so let me tell my guests just the tiniest bit about you on your bio here. So you're from Miami, or you live in Miami right now, and you're a life coach and author. It says that you've been featured on the Today Show, on Forbes, and on Oprah.com. I mean, girl, that's impressive. And you have a new book out called Stop Checking Your Likes. Shake off the need for approval and live an incredible life. So I've literally just decided that that's the best title I've ever heard. Stop checking your likes.
Wow, what a compliment. Well, it's funny because it's not actually a social media book, but as we know, social media gives us this 24/7 access to how the world's responding to us all the time. And it can make you crazy, right? It's actually so much power we give away. So it's kind of like tongue in cheek, but also kind of real. Stop checking your likes, girl.
Yes. And you know what? It's like you're in our home, and that's what, because I have 3 teenagers and and a 6-year-old. So we have both, we swing in both directions here. But anyway, I'm constantly telling my teens, like, who cares how many likes that photo got? And I'm constantly telling my teenagers, stop checking your likes. So I love that. So tell me what made you decide to write a book. I know it's not about social media, but it's more about people pleasing. Am I right? And so give us kind of an overview. What was it that made you decide to write this?
What I realized, Jen, after years working as a coach and as an advice columnist and getting a lot of questions and understanding people's fears, we know as human beings that we can deal with failure, right? We can lose money. We can have a failed launch. We can kind of go out there and have a big expectation and hope and have those hopes disappointed. We know at our core level we can survive that. But the thing that scares us the most isn't the failure, it's the judgment of the failure from other people. And when I unlocked this really as the thing that we're scared of, I was like, I need to share some methods on how to ease it. Like truly how to ease this fear of what other people are thinking about us all the time.
Okay, so I'm going to lean into this whole conversation. I just want you to know that because people pleasing is something that I feel like I have struggled with for most of my life. And I turned 49 last week. And it's interesting because I've noticed that the older I get, the less important it is to me. To be the less I'm concerned about the judgment of other people. But what I wish I could go back now and tell my 29-year-old self or my 39-year-old self. So is that something you've struggled with as well as people pleasing?
Yes, I'm absolutely a pleaser. And it's, how there's this old saying that we teach what we need to learn.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
I really believe it's true. And I think that there are essentially 3 steps to help with understanding how people are responding to you and if people are criticizing you or not happy with you. And I can share those with you.
I would love that. And you know why I would love that? Because I feel like right now, the internet's kind of a dumpster fire in terms of people are swinging so far on one side of different opinions to the other. And I think that there's a lot of people who are just scared to kind of type anything on the internet right now for fear of pushback and things. So I would love those 3 steps from you. I'm writing them down.
Oh, yes. First of all, the world is not obsessed with you. Right? It's so easy to think everyone's paying attention to us. Yes. Everyone's watching what we're doing, what we're saying, how we're living, and they have all this judgment. And look, some people do watch, especially those close to us, but everyone is just obsessed in their own world, in their own universe, right, Jen? We're just trying to not burn the chicken, pay the visible, not get divorced during quarantine. Yes. We're all just trying to make it through the week, and we're not obsessed with your social media, your life, your struggle, whatever it may be. So first of all, I think that can really take the pressure off. Like
Yeah.
the world isn't focused on us the way that we feel that it is, but
You're
it could.
saying that in a much nicer way than what my husband does.
Oh,
Because,
right.
because there's times when I'll say something, he's like, Jen, do you really think people care that much about what you're saying? And I'm like, gosh, I mean, he says it in a way that, only a husband could. But so yeah,
That's why
okay,
we let
so
them get away with it. But yes,
yes,
I mean,
I love that.
recently, actually, I had a friend who said, "Oh, you probably noticed my launch didn't go that well," and I actually didn't realize she was in one. I mean, I'm on her email list. Of course, we follow each other, but I was like, I apologize. I should have checked in, seen how it was going. But
Yeah,
we're all just doing our own thing. So first of all eyes aren't on you. Pressure off.
love.
Secondly, every piece of judgment we ever receive comes from a very, very personal lens. So, Jen, for example, and I put this in my book, I have a whole page of the insults that I've had online, which I leave up, by the way, I don't delete them.
Mm-hmm.
People criticizing my look. Okay, so I've had people criticize my looks.
Yeah,
And I know that if a woman is criticizing my body or anything about
yeah,
me, that woman isn't feeling quite so good about her body.
yeah.
Like, because
Isn't that funny? I'm like, why
yeah.
do women do that? I have been called a bimbo. You would be
Mhm.
shocked at how many people have commented on the color of my hair. I'm like, really? In the world today? I mean, I haven't gotten any recently, but there has been a handful. When I'll go get my hair done, and
Mm.
one day I remember some lady told me one of your eyebrows is darker than another, and like you forgot. And so you know what I've started doing, Susie. You can tell me if this is bad advice or not, but I've literally started screenshotting that sort of stuff, and I put them in a folder on my phone called rude stuff.
Yeah, oh, I like
And
it.
and every once in a while I'll just need a chuckle because it's stuff that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And yet every once in a while I'm like, well, wait a second. Is my hair too blonde? I love my hair this color of blonde. And I just have to remind myself that of all the things. But okay. I love
Yes,
that.
but we can only really tune into where we are, whatever our vibration is. So, for example, I have a sister who's an architect, and whenever we go to Europe together, she always says, look up, right? She's always like looking at the buildings because that's who she is. That's in her vibration. So whatever someone has to say about me, I just know it's a direct reflection of their own personal lens. And there are no exceptions to this. And it's actually an invitation for compassion more than anything else, even
Ooh,
though that's the last thing we want to do,
tell me
right?
about that.
So if somebody says to you, you're a bimbo, right?
Yeah.
Or you're ugly, or I've been told I look like a man, I'm overweight, all sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
Or that I was divorced in my early 20s, that's unacceptable, whatever it may be. Whoever is saying those things to me is suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because think about it, like Jen, when you're feeling good, right? When you're in your true nature, right? Just
Yeah.
loving, generous, calm. Are you out there like looking for dirt on people, looking to criticize people?
Yeah.
You never are. It's only when you like hurt people.
Exactly. And healed people heal people.
That's right. Yes. And so
Yeah.
I think, okay, you could talk about me. First of all, it has nothing to do with me. I'm
Mm.
not in it. There is not a quarter touching us whatsoever. And even though I want to, get my back up and defend myself, this is moving into part 3. I think this is actually a time or a person that needs to be loved and forgiven. Not open. You can say it. You can just do it silently.
Yeah, sure, sure. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay, and tell us about step number 3.
And then step number 3 is never, ever, 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 ever defend yourself.
Okay.
Ever.
Tell me about that because there's this meme going around on social media right now that says something like um it's funny, but I'm not going to say it funny because I can't remember. But it basically says that you're growing when you type out a whole paragraph of information and then slowly delete, 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 like with clenched teeth. And so that's kind of where I'm at in the world right now. There's lots of things that I like type out, and I'm like, just it's not even worth it. So tell me about that. You're saying don't respond to the people that think you're Dog the Bounty Hunter's wife because I've had that. I've had that message too. So tell me about that.
Yes. So this is where we do like a high five for Jesus. In the Bible, it says Jesus responded to his critics, not even a word.
Oh, I'm gonna
Not.
have to look up that scripture.
I tell you. I mean, again, pressure off. Right. First of all, there's nothing to defend. And in A Course in Miracles, it says, "In my defenselessness, my safety lies." So when you think about it, defending yourself is like gearing up for war, right? You kind of immediately meet that person at their level. wherever that is, that vibration. And you don't have to. You
Okay,
don't.
that is so good. So I had a pastor one time tell me something that's not in the Bible,
Mhm.
but I like tucked it in and I was like, oh, that's so good. And this is what he said to me. He said, Jennifer, don't get into a wrestling match with pigs. Not calling the people pigs, but
Yes.
don't get into a wrestling match with pigs because you both get dirty, but the pigs like it. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh my goodness, that's so good. And essentially what he was saying, again, not calling people pigs, was that some
Yes.
people just come and comment and say things because they want you to engage back with them. And the truth of it is that you're the only one that's going to be upset with it afterwards. And
Exactly.
so
I
good.
love. I like your pastor already. And Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde said, "Never argue with a fool. People won't know the difference."
Yes.
Right. So the engagement piece is entirely up to you, and this is where all of your power is. Right. And sometimes I'll say to somebody if they're like, "Oh, I got a mean comment or something's triggered me," I'm like, "Where are you? You're in your bed right now. Something that someone is doing somewhere on a device. We don't even know if it's true. We don't know what's going on in their
Yeah.
life. That's bothering you. Come on, this is always going to be a decision."
Yeah.
And so I think we have so much power, so much control, and we just love to give it away.
Okay. I love that. So how do you frame looking at other people's opinions of you? Like, is that how you frame it? Exactly what you just said? Like they're somewhere else, you're
Yes.
somewhere here, you have no connection to them.
Yes, yes. So I think there's two ways of receiving feedback, right? One is loving, right? And you know it instantly because your body responds to it in a certain way. It might be constructive, so to speak, right? Someone might say, "Hey, your blog post," or "I write a lot of articles in the media." Someone might say, "I have an addition to that," or "I think a little differently." That's one thing, right? That's like a great dialogue. That's helpful. It's
Yeah.
worth engaging in some, in a lot of cases. But the rest, kind of the cheap stuff, like the just wanting to get your attention or just throw some mud, I mean, that's something else. And it's okay for that to be. In fact, someone who really helped me with this was Kris Jenner. I interviewed her once for Marie Claire magazine.
Okay.
And when the interview went live, her team tweeted Marie Claire, tagged them and me, and I got all the comments. So I saw what everyone was saying, and Jen, it was I won't say it on your nice podcast,
Yeah.
but you got death threats, sexual animal reference, like it was
Yes.
disgusting. And I'm like, you think Kris is reading this, or you think she's busy building that empire of hers?
Yes. Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
there's just no way. She doesn't even know how to log into her Twitter,
Yeah.
you know. But I was just like, she does the things, moves on, does the things, moves on. And I think that's also a great way to be because you're also in the past, right? As soon as you're engaging or as soon as you're hurt, you're already in the past.
Yeah.
So
I
it's great.
love that. I
Keep
love
moving.
that so much. So tell me about some of the approval traps that you talk about in the book.
Oh, well, I think they start young. I mean, my first chapter is called Your Parents Effed You Up, Go For It Anyway, which
Oh, that's
isn't
so good.
which isn't parent shaming, right? Because
Yeah.
parents are just humans. It didn't start with them. They had parents, right?
Yes.
But I think a lot of the beliefs that we inherit, they start early. And when I was growing up, we grew up on welfare. We moved around a lot. There was addiction. My dad died of addiction. There was a lot of mental illness. And a lot of the beliefs that I had early were people can't be trusted. Rich people are crooks. It's dangerous out there. Just stay
Hmm.
safe. Don't say too much. Don't do too much.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where it can all begin. But then at some point in your life, once you have the awareness that you can make a different decision, then the responsibility is on you to then switch from the approval trap to, just fitting in, pleasing your parents, not upsetting the mold, to then choosing your own way. And one question that I love to ask people at whatever age is just to take an inventory of your life from deep things like career and how you spend time with your family
Hmm.
to maybe more superficial things like what you wear, and ask yourself, how much of this was my idea?
Oh, I love that.
Because I mean, I even say in the book that a friend of mine who's a stylist in New York, she says that so much of what we wear is influenced by our mothers and we don't know it.
Really?
And I was like, no, definitely not me. But I'm like,
I'm
I've
thinking
never.
not me either. I got to sit and think. I mean, my mom she's as cute as they come. So,
Oh,
but
that's
I'm
lucky.
thinking, but I don't think I get any of that's interesting.
I never
Okay, now
thought I
wait a
did.
second. Now wait a second. I'm gonna agree with you here, and I'm gonna tell you why. So I did a podcast. It's probably been a good 6 months ago,
Mhm.
or so, Susie. It's before the world shut down and got weird with coronavirus. Okay, but I did a podcast on how I never used to wear high heels until a year ago. I'd
Mhm.
never worn a pair of high heels ever in my life, not
Really?
on my wedding day, not on anybody else's wedding day. No, I only wore wedges. And you know what I said in that podcast? I'd never seen my mother wear a pair of high heels ever. And in my head, I thought, I'm just not the kind of girl that can walk in them. I'm just not the kind of girl that looks comfortable in them. And it's weird the lies I told myself about high heels. Like, and now I just want to like beat myself on the head. So my stylist made me wear a pair of heels to my conference last year. And I tell you what, I felt like a different woman on the
Oh
inside
yeah.
wearing those things. And so now I have like 7 pairs,
Yeah.
in a year. But it's really interesting because I thought to myself, nothing against my mom at all, but I just thought, I don't remember my mom ever wearing heels either.
And this is why that's such a great example, because it's invisible, right? The
Yeah.
beliefs that we inherit, it's not tangible, but
Mhm.
it's there. I mean, I thought to myself, oh, no way, there's just no way with me either. But I'm like, I've never worn ripped jeans. I'd rather smoke crack. Like ripped jeans.
Hilarious. My wardrobe is ripped jeans. Really? Oh, you have
Oh, my mum was like, they are so vulgar. That's what she used to say. And I really like them, but I'm like, I don't know if they look a bit vulgar on me.
Oh, that's so interesting. Let me
Right.
ask you this. So in my book, "And Fear's Not the Boss of You," I made just a statement, a thought that I have from, coaching and working with so many women over the years.
Mhm.
I kind of feel like women who've been through a lot of trauma as children
Mhm.
often have more of a tendency to be people pleasers. Would you agree with that statement?
Mm, yes, because often we have to bring the joy, right? Or we have to keep the equilibrium.
Yes.
And I feel as if sometimes we'll turn into the entertainer role. If
Yes.
you're around depression or
Mhm.
any very heavy environment, then you
Yep.
want to just elevate it.
Yes.
But this is dangerous too, because we maintain it as adults, don't we? And we're like,
We
have
do. Yeah.
to say yes to her, can't upset this person. I have to be
Right.
special and always upbeat to be liked,
Yes. Or to keep safe.
to always keep safe.
And I've talked about that in my book. That I think sometimes, in order we people please as children to keep safe or to
Mhm.
keep the environment feeling safe, and then that carries with us over into adulthood. And I'm still over here trying to do a dance, trying to
Oh.
keep safe emotionally. And at 49 years old, like it's interesting how our mind plays tricks on us.
But this is the thing, right? This is why it's so interesting, Jen, because we as adults, right, we are allowed to question things, but
Yes.
most people never do this, right? We just think, well, that's how life is. This is
Yeah.
the truth. And very few things are truth, right? Very few things are actual
Yes.
truth, and truth and facts are different, but like, what is truth? Do I have to entertain everybody? Do I have to be special to be successful? Does everyone have to like me?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, is any of that necessarily true? And I would say it's really only 10% of people who really question their beliefs thoroughly. Like, will identify an area of their life that doesn't feel satisfying and say, where's my, like, how am I accountable here? How is, what's this got to do with my thinking?
Mhm.
And this is why when you do belief work, I mean, think about it. What does it mean to believe something? It's everything. It's the
Right.
filter with with how we see the world. And when you can question your beliefs, you find freedom. Like,
Yes.
it is the most awesome thing when you can, have something that just felt true for a long
Right.
time or forever in your history, and then go, maybe that's not so true anymore. Maybe it was never quite true. Maybe there's another way.
Yeah.
And this is where your freedom is, where so many options lie for you. And I'm just so obsessed with talking about it because this is the key to, like, I feel like this is the secret to the universe.
The asking yourself the hard questions on, yeah.
Questioning it. Yeah,
Yeah.
questioning what you believe to be true. And if it's not making you happy, then choose something better. Choose a better story. Choose a better belief.
Well, and if I put that in terms of like what I was just telling you, essentially what you're saying is, does me trying to still keep everybody happy at 49, does that actually mean that I am emotionally safe? It actually doesn't. It's actually not an insurance policy. So,
Right.
so I
Right.
love that. I love that. Okay, so tell me about truly successful people. You and I both know a lot of people who are very successful, at least on the outside.
Yes.
And tell me about like the self-assured people that you know. What do those people have in common?
Oh, I love this question. A couple of things. So, the way that I define confidence, which is the common denominator amongst all successful people, because you get it, like life is hard, right? Like work and life, I mean, it'll never be completely free of suffering, but we just have to be strong, right? We just have to kind of keep going to have this grit. And so, I speak about confidence a lot. And confident people are simply, they only have this simple like one thread in common, because Jen, it's so easy to think that, you know, confidence is being a really great speaker, right, or being really charismatic or always winning at work, and look, those things may be true amongst confident people, but confidence is simply one thing, and it's quieter than, you know, what we might think, and it doesn't have to be loud, but it's simply a person's willingness to experience negative emotion. Like that is
Well, I'm
it.
going to have to sit and marinate on that. A person's willingness to
Yes,
experience negative emotion.
yes.
Okay.
So if you think about it, what will a confident person do versus a non-confident person? They will ask someone out, risk being rejected, risk being uncomfortable, risk getting it wrong, risk being uninvited, disliked. They have a lot of courage.
Yes.
And a non-confident, because they understand that any negative emotions that come won't kill them.
Right. Oh, you are basically quoting my book right now. Thank you for that. Yes. Because I talk about courage all the time in there. Yes.
But think about it. What's the worst that can happen? A temporary negative feeling. And feelings are like clouds in the sky, right? And I teach the media a lot in my work, and people are so afraid to be rejected and shut down. I'm like, success is volume.
Yeah.
Right? If you send 100 pitches, you will get some yeses.
Yes.
But if you're not willing to be rejected, you're going to get nowhere.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to experience some uncomfortable emotions, and I pitch myself all the time, I'm shut down all the time, but I'm also accepted a lot of the time.
Yes.
It's because it's okay with me. Like you can reject, it's okay with me. So what is not like, don't you become this unstoppable person if negative emotion doesn't mean like death to you? It's just something that's temporary.
Yeah. And I can tell you, like, since the world is kind of highly charged right now with lots of different opinions on things, and it's an election season, as everybody knows, you know, and so that just makes everything even more highly charged on the news, on the internet. And I have really strong opinions, Susie, on a lot of big topics.
Yes.
And it's interesting to me that I share those really big opinions to the people I feel safe with. And then when I go on the internet, I kind of dumb everything down. And I gotta tell you, it makes me so angry at myself. Like when I get online, I'm like, why don't I just have the guts to say what I want to say? And so I'm feeling like an internal turmoil. So right now I'm also asking God, okay, what do I need to keep my mouth shut about? And what do you actually want me to speak on? And that helps to kind of guide me on what to talk about and what not to. But it's interesting because I know that if I were to actually share some of my opinions, I would get a lot of pushback. And not only pushback, I'd get a lot of hate. I'd also get a lot of, lost followers. I'd get a lot of all those things. And so sometimes it feels like, okay, just towing the line on, what a good girl says on the internet and, not making any waves, like just stay in that space. But then internally, I feel really frustrated because so it's like I'm sometimes I find myself making decisions to keep my internet space safe, but then on the inside I'm just angry at myself because I'm like, I want to say what I want to say, and why can't I just say what I want to say, and why can't I just and so is this typical? Am I having a breakdown? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I'm so happy you brought this up, because I feel like a lot of people feel
this is not in my notes to you, by the way. So now we're having therapy. Okay,
I love it. I love this because I think it's very, very common. How much do we reveal of ourselves? What's appropriate? What's good for our business versus what does it require for us to really be brave? And my opinion on this is that there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Yeah, there isn't.
There isn't. And just because you think something also doesn't mean you have to share it with everybody.
100%.
And what is the value in it? Like, does it feel, sometimes it's like, okay, I won't say the thing that I want to say. Is that actually a bit of wisdom to hold back maybe? Or is it just fear? And only your intuition can tell you. It's like, does it feel expansive? All new things feel scary, right? But there's scary, like scary expansive, right? Oh, but this feels like a new level of me. Or
Yeah.
there's scary, I don't know, this just feels like my ego wanting to have an opinion today.
Yes.
Out loud.
No
You know?
realer things have ever been said. Yes, ego is a big part of it. Yeah.
Yes, and I know, well, a really well-known author, I'm on his email list, and he did a survey recently, and he said, what do you want to hear about from me? And he said, the one thing people don't want to hear about is opinions on current affairs. And he said,
Interesting.
and I thought that was really interesting. And he's like, so I'm just going to go back to, and he's like, it's such a relief for me. I don't even want to talk about it. I felt like I had to weigh in. And he's like, you guys don't want to hear about it. It's not me being socially responsible or irresponsible. It's just me doing what I do best, and I'm staying out of it. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it was. I posted something that was non-controversial in any way, talking about sex trafficking in the last couple of weeks. And it's not a controversial topic. Either we're concerned about women and children or we're not. Like,
Yes.
dead stop right there. And but I did have somebody that messaged me, and she's like, I come here to not hear about heavy things.
Right.
I'm like, well, all right. God bless you.
Can't get it right for everybody.
You can't. Like, I love that saying, you can be the juiciest peach in the whole wide world and you will still find somebody who doesn't like peaches. You still will. You still will. Okay, so last question before I hit you with some fun things. But what are some things that the people who are listening, who are mostly women, there's like 2 guys that follow my podcast. Hey, guys.
Two very cool guys, yeah.
And one of those 2 guys, by the way, is one of my 16-year-old son's friends, Alex. So shout out to Alex. You are a smart individual to listen to this podcast. But so what are some tips that we can give for the mostly women who are listening, just to start today on working, with that need for approval?
The one thing that I say, which is pretty much the foundation of the book, is that, and I feel like this can feel like a big concept to swallow initially, but it's simple and we know at our core that it's true. Mm-hmm. And it is that our worthiness as human beings is not up for question. It is not debatable. It is fixed. No matter what you've done, even if you're a criminal, like the way I explain it in the book, Jen, is I said, just say you went hiking with a group of friends or skiing, right? And you were with a group of people, and then somehow you got separated and you were lost, and then it was getting dark and the weather conditions were getting bad. Would they think, okay, let's get a checklist to see if Jen is worthy of mountain rescue? Is she verified on Instagram?
I'm not, by the way, and I'm angry about it. I feel like I'm just angry in general. I'm really not. But how can I have almost 100,000 followers and not be verified on Instagram?
Media is the trick, by the way, for that one. Media is the thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know that, but we're trying to work that angle, girl. Okay. Text me after this. Okay, so keep going.
Did she fulfill her tax returns on time? How much money does she make? Is she thin enough? Is she young enough? It's ridiculous, right? Like, every human's life in the physical realm is worthy of a mountain rescue, even if you're an escaped criminal, right? Yes. How can this not be true in every other realm, right? And in nature, there are no accidents. Think about how every human life it's miraculous, right? To think about how your parents met, Jen, how their parents met, for you to be here now, to survive the birth process, to be alive 49 years, it's no accident. And you want to monkey with nature's intelligence? Like, your life, your worthiness, it is not up for discussion. You don't have to explain why you can take up space. Think, is it okay that I'm here? Yes, it's okay. And if you can let this in, 5%, your life can change. Yeah. Because it's not, oh, wait, okay, see, I'm doing well, right? Do you like me yet? Like, whatever it is, you're like, I deserve to be here. This is an accident.
Good for you. I love that. Okay, so tell everybody where to go find your book. Like, if they're like, okay, I've absolutely got to get the Stop Checking Your Likes book. Where do you want them on Amazon? Do you want them on your website? Where do you want them to go?
Yeah, Amazon, it seems to be the quickest right now, but it's available where most places where books are sold. And you can head over to my site for a lot of just free confidence resources. It's susie-moore.com, susie-moore.com.
I love that. Okay, can I ask you some rapid fire questions? Okay, so just without thinking about it, tell me your favorite book other than yours.
Oh, I have so many favorite books. The old classic is I Love the Magic of Thinking Big.
From Brene Brown?
No, David Schwartz. He's dead now. It was written in the 60s.
Okay, and what is it called?
The Magic of Thinking Big.
The Magic of Thinking Big. Okay, awesome. So
Yes.
I am currently, not that this podcast is about me, but I am reading Where the Crawdads Sing.
Oh, I love that
Oh my
book.
gosh, I started it on Sunday and I'm like, why didn't somebody tell me ahead of time, clear your calendar for 2 days? Like just clear
Yeah.
your calendar because you'll do nothing else. So
Oh, and Reese Witherspoon's making a movie.
I heard that. That's amazing. Okay. Favorite room in your house?
I like this room, the
Yeah.
office.
Let's tell them about your room. In fact, we'll probably put this on YouTube. So if you
Fantastic.
don't follow me on YouTube, go take a peek see because Susie is showing us her view over Miami right now. Look at that.
I like the floor to ceiling windows in here. I think they're pretty
It's
cool.
yes, that is just beautiful. So that's your home office, I assume, correct?
Yes.
It's
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous. She's looking out on skyscrapers and water and life. And so I love that. All right, tell me your favorite place to vacation back when we used to be able to vacation.
The south of France.
The south of France.
Yes, I worked there as a nanny when I was 18. I lied and said I could speak French to get the job.
You do not speak French?
I didn't, but I had to learn quickly, and it's definitely the best way to learn to live with a non-English speaking family.
Yeah, so I took French in high school because I went to such a small town. We didn't have any other options for foreign language. It was French or nothing. Okay, so do you have time for just the funniest little story? I
Yes.
should probably not even tell these stories on the internet. But most of the people on the internet know at this point that I used to live a very different life than I do now. Okay, so 16 years old, my 16th birthday, I spent in Quebec, in Canada. Also, was the first time I tried to get into a bar. Was on my 16th birthday in Canada because the drinking age was 18. And so, if Mrs. Ferdig, my French teacher, is listening to this, I'm certain that she's not, but I'm so sorry to all of the French club for that experience. But I loved Quebec. And so, is the south of France. It's got to be a similar in feel and
It's
probably
heavenly.
like 20 times more exotic. So.
Oh, it's heavenly. I think it's a must visit. I think it's a must visit in a lifetime place.
Okay, awesome. All right, last question. So I like to end by asking our guests how they define freedom because that's so different for everybody. And so tell me what freedom looks like in your life right now.
I think freedom, as an entrepreneur means a lot of good things, but it's even simpler than that for me. I think it's just having the courage to be myself.
I love that. I love that. And that ties right back to your book. So, Susie, you're amazing. I'm so glad that Amy introduced us. Tell people where to connect with you on the internet. Do you like Instagram? Do you like Facebook? Twitter?
Yes, I mean, I love them all. Right now, I'm really loving YouTube, and then Instagram too. It's Susie.Moore. I follow you.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so friends, thank you so much for listening today. If this podcast spoke to your heart, go check out Susie's book, Stop Checking Your Likes, Shake Off the Need for Approval, and Live an Incredible Life. And you know I don't bring a ton of guests into this space, so when I do, it's one that's come highly recommended and that we've really vetted. And so go check out her book. Go check her out on the internet. Susie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Jen. Mwah.